Well, I'm going to tell you right off the bat, this episode may sound a little different than normal. Yeah, I'm I'm a little bit ashamed.
Oh.
But I am recording in a slightly different spot than I'm used to.
Sure.
I'm kind of I'm sacrificing audio quality for comfort.
Cool.
So typically I record in my closet and because there's like stuff hanging in there, so it's very noise canceling. And it sounds I think pretty good. But it's really cramped. It's kind of a pain in the ass. And so now I'm sitting at my kitchen table in an office chair with like my computer in front of me. I can like stretch my arms out from side to side. There's light. I'm not sitting in the dark.
Oh, man.
So it could be a shit show. I mean, the worst thing that's going to happen is there could be a little bit of background noise.
Sure.
I don't know yet.
I can think of a lot worse things, like your house could catch on fire.
True.
But go on.
And in theory, my audio might be a little more reverby. There might be a little... It's going to sound like I'm in a slightly bigger space than normal.
Okay.
As opposed to like this warm, hugging quality to my voice. But we'll see. I don't know. There's a lot of stuff that I can do in post-production. So this could sound amazing. People could be listening to this right now and be saying, what are they talking about? This is the best the show has ever sounded.
Listen, maybe I'm
that's
an
all
optimist.
In the future, though.
Maybe I'm an optimist at heart. I'm very optimistic. I think you should be comfortable. I think you should be doing what's good for you. And I think if you're more comfortable, that's just going to... I'm not even kind of... I'm kind of joking, but I'm also kind of serious. It'll kind of let the juices flow. Like if you're just kind of laid out and just kind of comfortable, you can just focus on talking and kind of getting into the conversation, not like, wow, only 47 more minutes till I can breathe fresh air again. So I think, hey, you're technically you're a wizard with this stuff. You'll fix the reverb. You'll fix any little minor problems there will be, and I think we'll be the better podcast for it. So I'm actually pumped. Let's do it.
Speaking of juices flowing, I'm drinking a Red Bull, and I haven't had Red Bull since since high school. I don't know. I graduated on past Red Bull pretty early on into like Monsters, because Monsters was it was a bigger drink. It tasted a little bit less like ass, and there was I don't know. It was the cooler teenage drink, right? It had like that badass look to the can.
Right. Yeah.
I was never really a big Rockstar person. Jolt Energy. That was my jam. But they discontinued that because I'm pretty sure it was going to kill everyone who was drinking it.
Oh my.
But yeah, Red Bull Zero. Which confusingly, so I think it's just like a diet Red Bull. It's like Coke Zero. It's like the Coke Zero versus Diet Coke versus regular Coke.
Sure.
And from what I gather, both the diet version and this version have no sugar in it. But whereas the diet one is like sweetened with aspartame, I think this one has something different in it. Yeah. I don't know what it is. I thought maybe it was like cane sugar or something, but I don't think that's true. I don't know.
Michael Caine.
Michael Cocaine.
What?
I don't know. Can you imagine? He's probably a drug dealer.
Big time.
Movie Men Bingo.
Movie Men Bingo.
Talk to me about Movie Men Bingo.
Movie Men Bingo is a hell of a drug. It's actually really fun. Friend of the show, who will soon to be guest of the show in the near future, made this awesome game where it's obviously bingo, but it's all the squares that fill in are all kind of funny, either catchphrases that we do on the show or kind of cliche or kind of routines that we fall into, that a lot of them I didn't really realize we did until I looked at the Movie Men bingo, and I'm like, oh yeah, we do that like a lot. So it's kind of a fun farcical game to play along with us. So there'll be a link below. Check it out. Hit some make some crosses on pegs that we hit off on the show, and screenshot it in the comments. Let us know if you win or you came close. No prizes right now, but maybe someday we will. Maybe.
Both are made without sugars instead of using low-calorie sweeteners.
The best bingos are made without sweeteners.
Red Bull Zero gives consumers the choice to enjoy a product with a different taste than Red Bull sugar-free. That's the official statement on Red Bull's website, and it kind of seems like a cop-out. They're like, no, it's the same. It just tastes different.
What?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm excited to have Marshall on the show because I feel like so many things are going to come into focus for people. Like, I feel like Marshall scale, which is a shame because when Marshall comes on the show, we're not reviewing a movie, so Marshall isn't even going to get to use Marshall scale.
Right. I guess maybe in the what we watched that week, he might say, hey, I watched something. I gave it a this on my scale, or there's hope. There's hope.
I guess. Black Mirror. We've been reviewing Black Mirror, and we did that because we wrapped up James Bond, and then we didn't really know what to do with our lives. We were like, where do we go from here?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we jumped on. We batted around a couple ideas, I think. One was Black Mirror. One was ending the podcast altogether. One was moving to Colombia and selling coffee and other substances.
Yeah.
But ultimately, we landed on. We thought Black Mirror. It was the first option, so
yeah.
Also seemed the simplest.
There was some merit behind it too. Some reasons that we chose that we felt aligned with where we wanted to go.
Although it's not technically a movie, each episode is kind of like its own little mini movie. It's like a short film.
Yeah, like a short film.
Yeah. So that's what we did. And we kind of blazed through season 1.
I get it. Blaze, kind of. I mean, we did
There's all kinds of drug references in this episode. Michael Cocaine, blazing. What is happening to the movie?
The first episode was in November, and then we finished them off in January. So I mean, there was a bit of a gap, but it did fly by fast. I'll agree with you.
The number one rule of improv is always just say yes. Like, don't ever be like,
well, actually,
if someone says something, don't be like, no, actually this, because then the whole thing crumbles, man.
Right.
Okay. Come on, be a better drama student.
Right. We'll get there.
Anyways, season 2, episode 1. Be right back. Now, I'm excited for this conversation because this episode of Black Mirror is the episode that kept popping into my head when I was advocating for us to do Black Mirror.
Really?
And the reason being is because...
the whole series you're talking here.
Yeah, like to do the whole series. I was like, oh man, this episode, a little bit also the entire history of you with the eye implant.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yep.
But also this one, I was like, man, this is a series where we could potentially have some deeper discussions where it doesn't just have to be about the episode. We can talk about the episode, but then we can also like take the subject matter of the episode and we can be like, okay, real world conversation now. Let's debate a little bit. Let's talk about things. Overall, how does the subject matter make you feel? So I'm excited. I'm excited because I feel like there's a lot of things to talk about here.
I really don't think there's much to chew on, but okay.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
should be interesting then.
Yeah.
You're joking, of course.
Oh, I'm joking. I'm not trying to burst the balloon here, but I watched this episode and this might be my favorite so far. I'm just saying it right now.
It's so interesting, and historically, I've kind of started this. You would you're in your past, the episodes of Black Mirror that you've seen. There's been like 2 or 3 of them, and they've been very cherry picked throughout the series.
Yeah,
Had you seen this one?
No, and this was one I had not seen, and there's some that I haven't seen that I've heard of, but I had no knowledge of this going in, completely fresh slate.
Sure. Okay. Okay, so let's do this. Black Mirror continues its tradition of having a significant celebrity guest star, I guess.
Yeah, definitely some star power with what's his? I can never remember the first name.
Okay, we're both gonna butcher it. We're both gonna butcher this guy's name, but I think it's Domhnall Gleeson.
Yes, there it is.
Or Domhnall Gleeson.
Domhnall.
It's definitely Gleeson, right?
Yes, exactly. It's just
the guy from About Time.
Yeah.
The Star Wars guy.
Star Wars guy, About Time. It might be in like Anna Karina. There's a few things that he's just
other
kind of
movies.
Side characters, but yeah. I just watched a movie he was in. I think he was in Calvary. He played like a serial murderer or something. Point being, he's a celebrity. He's well known.
Frank, About Time. Ex Machina.
Oh yeah, right. Duh.
For some reason, when I watch Ex Machina, I don't think of that being him. But it totally is.
It totally is. That's not the first person.
And that's weird because it's him and it's Oscar Isaac. And I also look at, just because of Oscar Isaac, I feel like he really transforms himself for that role.
Yeah.
And so I never look at that as being Oscar Isaac either. But yeah, totally is.
Who's the female lead in that film? Because I would say... she
just
comes to mind.
It up. Alicia Vikander.
Right.
I don't know her from... Oh, she's in The Man from U.N.C.L.E.
Yes. Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
And she also is in the new revised Lara Croft series, Tomb Raider series.
Right. Right. Yeah, that's
she
true.
plays Lara.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, so let's do this. So you like this one?
Yeah, honestly, it's my favorite. We'll get into what we rank it at the end, but I think there's one episode that I'm going to refrain that I think I might just score higher, and it's one of the ones I've seen before. But there will be trouble dethroning this one so far, because, like you said, there's so much to chew on. But unlike some of the other ones, like, there's been always something to chew on with every episode. But there's always been something that kind of taints it. Like, I mean, for the first episode, we see a man having intercourse with a pig. We see this uncomfortable society where someone lives in a cubicle. We see just the uncomfortableness of rewinding all your memories and microanalyzing everything. Like, all these things make me uncomfortable. Yes, we've had good conversations. This one, although it's a very serious, somber topic, it wasn't, to me, disgusting. Like, it was still something so relevant that I think we're going to have a lot of fun talking about. But it wasn't, I never felt uncomfortable enough to go, wow, I need to go have a shower yes, I've been enlightened, or I have some reflection that I want to think about, but it was just a good combination to me of challenging but not uncomfortable, and it was obviously just well done, and the acting and the everything cinematically about it was well done, but just it kind of hit that sweet spot for me.
So do you think this is the second episode where the thing in question has been the utilization of a specific piece of technology, right? Mm-hmm. So the last one being the grain, which is that little implant, where you can go back and watch everything.
Yep.
And in the grain, I think we were both pretty clear on the fact. I think we both kind of agreed on two things. One is if we had that implant, it would probably affect us negatively. Like if we had the implant, it would probably affect our judgment. We would probably behave in a way that is unreasonable, is unhealthy. But two, I think we also both felt pretty confident that we would, going into it, we'd be able to be like, no, that seems like a bad idea. I don't think I'm going to take advantage of this technology. Right? Because it was just like, I don't know. It seems too much. It seems like an unnecessary upgrade. It seems like something I don't need. Whereas this one, I'm like, okay, if I'm thinking about this pragmatically, yeah, it's a terrible idea. Horrible idea. Maybe. I don't know. We're gonna get into that. But I'm like, there's a caveat where the position that you're in when you're making the decision to get the implant is just this decision, this you're in a mental state where you're like, do I want this cool piece of technology or don't I? All my friends have it. Do I want it? Is it a good idea? Yeah, it'd be cool to be able to go back and watch things. This one, you're typically making this decision in a very emotionally compromised state.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. Where you are more likely to make an impulsive decision that on paper is a shit idea, but it's there's desperation. There's all of these things at play. So do you feel like this episode is maybe a little bit more relatable? Because you're like, oh God, like, yeah, it seems like a bad idea, but also I can see how you could easily walk through that door. I see how you could easily be tempted beyond self-restraint to pursue this avenue.
Yeah. So I'll answer your question, and I might also take a little tangent rabbit hole answer with it too. Obviously, yes. I can see how it would be tempting. I think we're going to get into this because I think perhaps it could be beneficial. Perhaps it could be beneficial with kind of the healing process or kind of the moving on process if used with the kind of, if it was used well or with discernment. We'll get into that. It could also just be kind of like a train wreck nightmare of kind of spiraling and kind of ruining someone emotionally. We'll get into that. We'll bite into that. But yeah, I could see it could be very difficult, could be very emotionally charged. The one thing that I find interesting conceptually about this is you've made the concept on this series before about, other than the Prime Minister Pig episode where, it's physically possible in this universe, most of these technological kind of futures are not possible. This is the closest one to a reality-based technology that is actually existing, because obviously this system doesn't occur. Like I can't mail order bride me a relative or someone who's passed that I want to have a conversation with, but there are branches of this technology that exist. So the first thing, like I paused this episode and I reread a news article I'd read probably a year or two ago. There is a Holocaust museum, and I want to say it's in California, San Diego, no, maybe San Francisco. Regardless, there was a Holocaust museum, it might be several now, that actually have a technology where they've taken Holocaust survivors and used like kind of like when you see Andy Serkis with like the 3D motion capture on his face to kind of capture these images. They've done that with Holocaust survivors and sat down with them for hours and hours to videotape interviews and having them give testimonies and answer questions. And they've able to literally kind of come up with holograms so that children, adults, what have you, when they go to these museums, can not only have, it's instead of just a video of someone talking, it's a hologram of a person talking, but it's also an interactive hologram, so someone can ask any question and the technology can not only just play a pre-recorded episode, it's like an interactive, responsive hologram who answers a question based on what exactly the question was answered. And the whole concept is, hey, let's preserve this portion of horrific history from the survivors before they pass away and they decease, because obviously we don't want to forget this part of history and relive history. We have to honor the survivors. So just the concept of capturing human experiences and human memories and specific stories of human beings. There's actual practical real life examples of this Black Mirror episode in real life. And I just find that fascinating. I don't really have a point to that as far as the big picture of the episode. That's just kind of like more of an observation, but I found that interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting that there's no moment in this where you feel like they're asking you to really suspend disbelief.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like it was very logical that, okay, we are an artificial intelligence that has taken everything he's ever posted online publicly. Right. So we found a couple of videos, so we know what his voice sounds like, and we can synthesize his voice, which is technology that exists.
Yes. Yeah, you're right.
We have formed an AI based on all the responses and posts he's ever made. We know what kind of words he uses. We have a grasp on his slang. We know that he's fairly sarcastic. We know X, Y, Z. We know he used to have a dog named this, we know all of these things. Which I don't know if that tech is actively being implemented in that way anywhere, but super plausible. There's nothing about that is, that given the right permissions is impossible to happen. And then reasonably that, like, okay, the version that we have based on his public profile is going to be limited because we tend to post a polished version of ourselves. Very few of us are genuinely candid publicly online. However, if you check the box that gives us access to his text messages and the stuff in his Dropbox and his emails and whatever, we can build a much more accurate model. All of that is, you're kind of going, oh, okay, yeah, no, that's completely logical. I buy that. That's how that tech would work. Then it gets a little like, things become a little strange when you're like putting we take a bit of a leap with the tech when it's the body shows up.
Yeah, that's a bit far.
But But it still felt like it's technology that we either don't have, or we don't have, or we have and has not been publicly made aware to us, right? It's like some Area 51 crap that they're working on, right? Or like some sort of military technology that is super classified and super whatever. So we either don't have it, or we have it and we haven't been made it hasn't been disclosed to us. But even if we don't have it, it didn't feel so, even that didn't feel so far out of our grasp that it made the whole thing feel silly. It was like, okay, like we've got some weird stuff. We're capable of doing weird things. I don't know, give it 20 years.
Yeah.
And if some company spent the next 20 years really working on trying to make this a thing,
right.
And they even deal with the fact that like he's not perfect. Like a lot of the finite details are two-dimensional.
Yep.
Right? There's no texture to his fingerprints. His fingerprints look like his fingerprints, but there's no texture to them.
Yeah.
Small details like a mole, like he was very rarely shirtless online.
Sure.
So small details like a mole, until she brought it up, went relatively overlooked. Yeah. So the whole thing just felt so plausible to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whereas the grain, the pill thing, the whatever in the implant in the head, you're like, okay, yeah, I can see that. I can see it someday, I guess. But it just felt like way further down the road.
Yeah. With those concepts, you had to more just say, okay, let's just look past the reality of it. Let's just focus on what this commentary is about. With this one, it's a bit of the same, but to a lesser degree. Like it's more like, hey, this is plausible. People listen to voice recordings of family members, and I completely agree.
No, I don't think this is going to be a spoiler because it's basically just the premise of a film. I'm not like really revealing anything about the film. But have you seen the Joaquin Phoenix film Her?
No, I have not.
So it's basically a movie about Joaquin Phoenix. He's like this lonely, depressed, single guy, and this fancy AI operating system technology comes out, which in the film is voiced by Scarlett Johansson, and he basically falls in love with her. He falls in love with the operating system. And then it's got kind of it's a totally different, it goes in a totally different place. So I would recommend it because it's if you liked this, it hits a lot of the same beats, but you won't feel like you're just watching a rehash of something because it is much different in the route that it takes.
Well, and I mean, Joaquin Phoenix, throw that into the equation and it can only be good.
I'm saying.
Yeah.
So, what else did you think?
Well, let's just start jumping into some things that I really want to cover basically at the core of this episode.
Absolutely.
So I'm just going to jump into one scene specifically where, she's got the voice technology where she's talking to this AI that's based on her husband's, interactions with technology, and the technology is based this composition of what, how the husband will respond and how they'll talk, and it's kind of a crutch for her. And she's on this picnic where she, was talking to him, and, there was this point where I did wonder to myself, can she have a relationship with a voice alone and B, an AI voice alone? And I mean, I don't know, maybe I just need to hash it out with you, but there was a mere moment where I thought it was kind of plausible because I'm just thinking about it from the world we live in now. A lot of relationships are voice alone. Like we are we are limiting ourselves to phone conversations, to Zoom calls that are not in person. So there's some kind of relation there. And I know it's a big jump between having a conversation with an AI robot and someone who can actually articulate feelings and past experiences with you, but there was a brief moment where I was wondering, like, is it possible for her to just continue indefinitely with this AI voice? And while we chew on that, I guess the one thing that it came at the cost of, and it kind of was shown in this one scene, she was having a conversation with this AI voice, this memory of her husband, and another human being phones her. And she says, ignore the call. Please, AI voice, don't leave me. So there's this
her mom of all people. It was her mom calling her.
It was her mom. So she's putting off human interaction. She's isolating herself from actual human interaction that's the cost of her just completely devoting herself to this AI relationship or whatever you would call it. And maybe that's where the problem kind of stems. But was I out to lunch just kind of contemplating, like, is there any harm in what she's doing here?
No, I mean, I think that's the backbone of this. And I think I think there's a whole conversation, there's a whole debate to have here, and it kind of naturally grows off of that. I'm a very big believer of, if what someone's doing, or two people or three people or whatever, if someone or a group of people are doing something that is maybe unconventional or outside of the norm, if no physical harm is coming to anyone outside of that group, right, then leave them the hell alone and let them live their lives. Like, really, it's my big thing is, like, society may not, so let's say she did this, right? She continued her life, and she just spent most of her time on the phone with this AI. And through whatever means, she was still able, like, she still had an income, she could pay her bills, she was self-sustaining, maybe some of her relationships suffered, but no harm was coming to, no physical harm, no real harm or emotional harm or irreversible damage was coming to anyone. But because it seems odd, because it seems societally weird, everyone's bent out of shape about it. Everyone's like, oh, it's not healthy for her. She can't spend her whole life doing that. She can't. That's not okay. And my response is, mind your own damn business. Like really. Yeah. I think an angle that I'm approaching this episode with, that I think is not the way that, like, was probably not the showmaker's intentions.
Sure.
But for me, I think is still super valid, is challenging the notion of societal norms. Challenging what is right and what is wrong, and of the things that are right and wrong, are they right and wrong just because the majority of people have gotten together and said that's weird and not okay? And if that is the reason that everyone's gotten together and said that's weird, not okay, does that make it weird and not okay? Right? And so ultimately the stance that I'm taking on this episode is even once she has the body,
yep,
right, even when he's fully brought back, is it the same? Is it the same as him actually being there? Is it the same as if he hadn't died? No, it's not. I don't think that's an arguable fact. I don't think that's an arguable point. I just think that's factual. Factually, it is not the same. Does it matter? I mean, I think the simple answer for me is if it works for her, if she's happy with it, then I don't think it matters. That I really don't see an issue with it. Is she essentially having a relationship with a piece of technology? Yeah. Is she having an emotional relationship? Is she attached to a piece of technology? Well, sure. I know many people in my lives who you could make an argument in saying that they are virtually in a relationship with their cell phone. Sure. Or with their social media, their TikTok, or their Instagram feeds, or whatever. So we already are. We already are in relationships with things that aren't human beings. Is she having a sexual relationship with a piece of technology? Yeah. I mean, that's a step that she decided to take. And she sleeps with the man bot, or whatever we want to call him. And this may seem like real blunt, but I mean, at that point, it's what fundamentally is the difference between that act and if she hopped online and bought herself an adult toy? Really, not a whole lot. It just so happens that this thing looks like her ex and can talk. And is able to cuddle her afterwards, is able to make her feel more complete afterwards. So I don't know if it's the stance that I'm supposed to take in watching it. I think the episode is supposed to make you feel like, it's better to leave dead things dead. And like, don't pet cemetery things because it's not, but like, I don't know, my takeaway, and this is maybe an anomaly. It may be, I might be in the minority here in my worldview. Sure. But my worldview is, if people like, I think we're too fixated on other people. Right? Like, if someone posts online tomorrow and says, I eat ketchup on my toast. I eat ketchup and mustard and peanut butter on my toast. I like to mix. Let me replace.
I use ketchup on my steak.
Yeah, sure. I mean, yeah, ketchup on my steak, because that's something you would actually see. People go, I can't eat a steak without ketchup. A bunch of us, myself included, would become far more bent out of shape about what somebody else is choosing to do with their steak than I reasonably should be bent out of shape about it. If ketchup on steak makes it better for that person, then fine. I don't want them to make me a steak with ketchup on it. And if they come and eat supper at my house and I make them a really nice steak and then they put ketchup on it, I might cringe a little bit. But where do I get off hopping online and saying, you shouldn't eat steak, you shouldn't put ketchup on your steak, that's blasphemy? It doesn't affect me. Right. It doesn't affect me at all. If I'm the neighbor to a person who has a robot that looks like they're X and seems like they're X, and it might be a little weird to me at first, but then I just don't go over there. I don't socialize with them. It's none of my business. It's not my life. It doesn't affect me. Or if it does, then I need to self-evaluate at that point. I'm letting things affect me and bother me that should not affect me and bother me. So my stance on this episode is him coming back the way he came back the same. No, it's not him. As much as it seems like him, it's not him. If she's happy, if it offers her, if she's content having a relationship with this thing for the rest of her life, then great. I don't know. Then fantastic. I don't see the issue with that at all.
I think
that is probably strange take on this episode.
It is. I wouldn't say it's strange. I think you're right. Like, it's not maybe what everyone walked away with. I think you make a good point about definitely societal norms shouldn't dictate how we judge or evaluate other people's life choices, because that's a big thing. That's something we shouldn't do. I wonder if that's an extrapolation in this episode that I wouldn't agree with, or I wouldn't go in line with, that I say, hey, maybe this is a specific that doesn't apply to that example. Just because we look at this and she's not happy. And this isn't just me saying, hey, based on my worldview, you cannot be happy by what you're doing. We are seeing her. She's momentarily appreciating aspects of this, but there's times where she's driven mad, right? I mean, it's definitely, from an emotional level, it's kind of contradicts the moving on process, the healing process, and she's just constantly reminded that he's not human. Like, he's just not breathing. It bothers her when, it doesn't act exactly like her husband, because she's having arguments with it, and it does things that contradicts what her husband was really like in certain circumstances. So I would say in this case, I think it's I think it's too specific to kind of me to walk away with the same walk away you had, just because yes, she's living in a bubble where there's no harm to others outside her family, but at what personal cost in her case? Because although she's not causing harm to others or direct harm to herself, I do wonder if she's causing happiness or emotional health to herself. And at the end, we're kind of introduced to this concept of her daughter is involved in this equation. And in this specific example, is it healthy that her daughter, maybe it is beneficial that her daughter has some resemblance of her father to interact with and learn about what your dad was like, but maybe not. I don't know. Maybe that's maybe something we'll get into. Maybe it's not. But I just wonder if this case is too specific for me to make that extrapolation, just because for me, the walkaway I had was just this concept of what's emotionally healthy for moving on. Did this technology actually help her, or was it a hindrance? And like I said at first, I said, yeah, maybe there's no harm in having this relationship. I walked away then having the opinion saying, yeah, I think it's more of a hindrance than a harm. I think it was started off with a crutch. It became a dependent, something that she was dependent on. And then it's kind of something that I interpreted it to be quite unhealthy at the end, where, the daughter is now involved with. But
I think in this situation you're right, but I think what I'm trying to be cautious of avoiding is generalization. Okay. So I think that was this a healthy situation for her to be in? No, ultimately it wasn't.
Yep.
Does that mean that because it was not a healthy situation for her to be in, should this technology be damned? Should it be,
right.
Or does it work perfectly fine for 20% of all people who try it, and therefore those 20% should be allowed to just have it? Right. So yeah, I think it's just, I think my point is everyone is so different. And so it's impossible, and because then you get into this weird place of is she causing harm to herself? Maybe emotionally, yeah. But then you get into this weird thing of like, when is it the responsibility and duty of people? Who gets to be the judge of that? Who, from the outside looking in, gets to say, I don't think, think being the operative word, I don't think that what you're doing is good for you. I'm going to intervene.
That's the big question.
Right? And it becomes weird. It becomes, because it really, then it's not a stretch to take it to other places where, like, interventions we have where someone's using an illicit substance. Sure. Right? And we can see the harm that it's doing to themselves.
Yep.
But what if they don't? What if, like, I don't know. I mean, again, I think it's probably it's probably a relatively fair generalization to say that most people would like to preserve themselves. Most people would like to live a long, healthy life. And most people would not like to die young because of substance abuse. Sure. But it is still, although it's a fair generalization, it is still a generalization. It is still something where we are stepping in and intervening with loved ones. And I think you kind of have to ask yourself in those situations, is there a bit of selfishness to it? Like, if that person is perfectly fine, I don't even want to say harming themselves, because again, that's a subjective term. If that person's perfectly fine causing a breakdown of their body because of a substance they're using, if they're perfectly happy with that, but it's tearing the hearts of the people who love them apart because the people who love them think, oh, this person's hurting themselves, then, I mean, are you acting based on what that person wants, or are you acting on the fact that losing them is going to hurt you?
Sure.
And you can't bear that, and you can't deal with that, and you can't. So you don't want them to do drugs because it's hard on you. Right. And I don't know, like, this is, I'm not trying to, I'm not searching for any particular hot take here. I'm just thinking like very outside of the box. I'm tossing some ideas at the wall and seeing what sticks. But like,
sure.
I don't know. Again, it's just kind of one of those, did it work? Did this work for her? No.
Yeah.
Does that mean that the technology just doesn't work? It's a shitty sample size. Right? It's one person.
For sure.
And it turns out she needed something a little more genuine. She needed something a little more complex relationally, where it's super possible that if you haven't, let's extend this technology. What if it's not bringing back a loved one? What if it's simply like a mail order? What if you've been alone? And the only thing other than this AI that you've ever known is being alone. Is it then okay for you to have a physical, emotional, sexual relationship with this piece of technology? And again, my argument would be, regardless of your beliefs, regardless of your worldview, worry about yourself.
Right.
And so I don't know, maybe when you're taking the closure, maybe when you take the grieving aspect, the moving on aspect out of it, maybe that changes everything. I don't know.
I don't know if, I see what you're saying. I don't know. For me, it's definitely different circumstances just to break down motivations and what you're trying to accomplish, because there's just that added wrinkle of it, right? Because it's the relational component, but it's also the grieving component that's definitely present. And I definitely think you raise an interesting point, but I do think they're different, but still within the same ballpark. As far as kind of philosophically interesting points.
Cool. And I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
I have no interest in swaying you, because the technology doesn't exist. And so I don't think it's and again, I mean, it's kind of like argument inception here. But even if this technology did exist and you were dead set against it and I was dead set for it,
Yep.
again, I don't know. Then you're not going to use it and I'm just going to mind my own business. I'm going to mind my own damn business. It doesn't matter to me what you do. Like, as your friend, I should be the most concerned that you're happy.
For sure.
That in whatever you're doing and whatever decision you're making, that you're happy.
See, I think what you're walking away with is an interesting point that I'm more just wondering philosophically, what on the individual level, how was what she was doing different than her actual relationship? Like, is it really that different? Like, yes, this robot doesn't have any actual shared human experiences with her, but it's pretty close. I mean, I don't know.
Is it capable, ultimately, is it capable of providing her all of the needs and services and connections that the actual person was providing for her? And I would argue that with time, yes. I think it's unconventional. But really, if you break down what it is that we provide for each other, companionship, support, someone to talk to, again, there's the sexual aspect to it. There's just all sorts of things. Holding your hair when you're sick and vomiting, like whatever.
Right.
All of the things that someone
Which is something
provides
that's
for
happened
us
to you quite a bit with your long hair.
Yeah, wow, my hair's so long, flowing. Yeah. But all of the things that we provide for each other in a relationship setting, I see no reason why that robot could not have provided it for her. Had she been able to reconcile in a healthy way that wasn't actually him. Right. And so, yeah, I don't know. Maybe it'd be better if it was maybe it would be better if it was generic. Maybe you've lost a loved one. You don't want to do this whole dating thing. You don't want to feel like you're actually giving your heart to another person. But you still need that companionship. And so maybe a generic thing, maybe you can fill out like a 300 question survey on the type of person you would want. And then they ship you your husband replacement, your new companion.
See
even if it doesn't look like him, doesn't sound like him,
How far? So I'm just like, how far down the rabbit hole can you go? Because I'm not even limiting it at romantic relationships. Like, there's like, can you get your extended family? Can you have like half a dozen of these things going around? So when you pass your algebra exam and you come home, your Aunt Martha can say, "Good job, Steve. You did an A. I'm proud of you." Just so that you can hear those words that you otherwise wouldn't be able to hear. Like, it's just, there's
and who gets to make that call?
Yeah, I don't know.
Like, had his parents been living, would they get to make that call instead of
I don't know.
His wife?
I don't know. Maybe there's two. Maybe his parents have a version of it too, where he's living at home.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
Maybe.
Who knows?
How many of them are walking around?
Exactly. Does his ex-girlfriend from prom, who never got over him, have a version of him at home that at that emotional level she's stuck at, and has a version of him with pimples and into Metallica and wearing a Led Zeppelin t-shirt that is just around his house? Like, are there 6 different versions of him around in this world? I don't know.
let's hope so for her sake. Let's hope so. You know, and then I you know, the other thing too is like, you know, I don't know. I was saying like, oh, like a 300 question survey of your ideal person. But then I think an issue with that is like part of what makes us good for each other is that I have quirks on, like, you know, you have quirks. You have features, you have personality traits, you have tendencies that probably don't match up on, if your wife were to do a 300 question survey of her ideal person.
Yeah.
Some of that would conflict.
Look at this podcast. If we had written, I'm not even joking, like I'm agreeing with you. If we had done a 300 question survey about who should we start a podcast with, sure, we would have.
Oh, we would not be.
We would have aligned in some things, but a lot of things we would have been like, no, this doesn't fit, because we're human beings. We have quirks. We bring different things to our specific non-romantic relationship, and it's I agree. Maybe having something that you're aligned with is not always completely for the best.
Yeah. No, I agree 100%. If we had filled out a survey saying, you know, if I'd gone into it saying I need to find someone with the exact same taste in movies as me,
right,
not only would we not have a podcast together,
right,
I don't think the podcast would be as good.
Oh,
I mean,
for sure.
There's some things that, like, you know, would I be able to really like sit down and nerd out and unpack certain conversations that maybe just go over your head and vice versa?
Absolutely.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
But also it would get kind of stagnant, right? You'd be like, oh, well, you know, I would say something and they'd be like, I agree. And I'd be like, of course you do.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
But do you have anything else written on your list of Google Doc-ness?
That is it. Just a score.
Okay. All right. Well, 0 to 10, what is your thoughts on Be Right Back?
Like I said, it's my favorite so far. I think it might be my favorite.
No, sorry. That was me saying I'll be right back, and then you can give me sorry, that was like a Pete joke. That was something you would say,
it is,
and I feel
actually
a little bit dirty for saying it. But okay, sorry. What is 0 to 10? What would your score be?
I gave it a 9.5. I'm reserving a 10.
Whoa.
I'm reserving a 10 because I think there's one coming down the road that I will give it a 10. But yeah, I loved everything about it. I just, from a specific individual emotional level, I really connected to this, because obviously not to the same exact relationship that this was talking about, but this did get my mind going of, if this was available, would I do this? To have conversations with a deceased relative who I miss, who obviously it's not them, but it's the next closest thing. And at one point I'm like, yeah, I think this is the best way to go. And then it got to a point that for me personally, I said, at this point, I think it's doing more harm than it's doing good. At least that's how I perceived it. And there was a point where I said, you know what, I don't think this is healthy anymore. But it really just captured my attention, and I thought it was such an interesting thing. And although it was weird conceptually at times, it didn't make me uncomfortable. Like, it challenged me in a way that was fun. So I thought it was a great episode.
Wow.
What did you give it out of 10?
That blows my mind. That, like, man.
Wow.
You really liked this.
I did.
Okay.
Yeah.
I gave it, so I mean, I echo all of your sentiments. I feel exactly the same way. I think this is an amazing episode.
Sure.
I think it's so good. It's so fascinating.
Yeah.
I gave it an 8.
Okay.
And I think the only reason I gave it an 8, I think it just comes down to, I think I'm just leaving a bigger buffer.
Sure.
I think I'm just more, because I don't know what's out there. I don't know what's coming.
Yeah.
And so I'm just leaving the floodgates for potential mind-blowingness wide open.
Sure. Cool.
So, yeah. Okay. End it. end this thing.
Thank you, everyone, for listening. We really appreciate it. Please like, follow, subscribe on our social media pages below. That's where we send out new information. That's where we send out votes. Our kind of MO for the show is we have votes where we have you tell us what movies to review. Check out our social media pages. Give us a good rate and review wherever you're listening to this show. And also, if you're feeling so inclined to help maintain and grow the show, you can check out our Patreon and merchandise page. It's a way for you to help support us, and also a way for us to give you something back, some perks and some incentive for helping the show along. And a like and a comment. We always love hearing back from you. So if there's something that you agreed with, disagreed with, or you love or just hate the show, let us know.
I could not have said any of that better myself. And I spent 2 hours in the mirror practicing before we started recording, so I can say that definitively. I just don't have it. I just don't have it in me.
You'll get there.